You're right.
Hi, it's some of the Regen crew here for the end of this year's VAADA Conference. I guess just looking at what some of the highlights have been over the past couple of days. What do you reckon? What took your interest?
Well, what took my interest was the talk on the dark web.
Yeah.
And how Australia basically leads the world in it, and how many websites that actually provide it, like 176 websites.
In terms of drug sales on
drug sites that you can purchase in Australia. And what amazed me though, it's the cost differential in Australia. It's so high compared to what other countries are, and that's because Australians have got a huge fear of getting caught, and they pay a premium to buy from local. I thought that was very interesting.
So it's the same in online markets as it is in street markets?
Yes, yeah. With a few, you're taking the criminal elements right out because it's anonymous. And what really struck me was the harm reduction benefits, like the quality of the drugs that you get are higher with less impurities, because the people that purchase it rate it, and there's straight away immediate feedback on the reliability and the quality, and it's a good feedback loop. It actually works pretty good, and that's what I thought was really, from the harm reduction aspects, real good.
Yeah, and I guess people using those sites aren't people who
and people who use it, they actively engage in forums, and what the presenter says, like the Silk Road website that got taken down, they actually employed a doctor to provide advice on harm minimisation and proper use of their purchases, which I thought was...
Yeah, it's a good example of peer organised activity.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a bit biased, and I'm going to talk about Corinn's presentation about her collaboration, Regen's collaboration with Headspace, and how that's working really well, and just pointing to the fact that it's about more than just the work together. It's the relationship you develop between individuals from different services, which I think is really important. And I'm definitely taking that away from me and thinking about future projects for Regen.
Okay.
How we can do that.
Yeah, and it was a good point that was made too after Corinn's talk as well, that it's those connections between workers that are often more important to how services function together than necessarily the relationship between organisations.
Yeah, it's about the clinicians, I guess, establishing that and running with it. And I think that was a theme.
It's a person you call when you want to.
Who's the one you call when you've got a problem to solve?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really liked a presentation from yesterday morning in the session focusing on social justice, and there was a presenter from Homeless Law, Justice Connect, and she was talking about begging and their position paper on called Asking for Change, which is really asking for the decriminalisation of begging, because once it becomes a criminal charge, then people become sort of embroiled in the justice system, and for people that are already quite vulnerable, often they're experiencing homelessness, they may be escaping family violence, all sorts of things, and often, I think it was something like 77% of those people who had been charged with begging were reporting AOD use. And then it was like over 80% were reporting mental health issues as well. So then, I mean, it's just an extra layer of, or an extra challenge to face on top of an already complex situation. So that was, I didn't know about that position paper, and I sort of didn't know, I guess, the extent to which those charges are followed up. Like, people are getting warrants issued for their arrest and stuff, and I was like, wow, come on, like they're asking for some loose change, you know. And so that was sort of something I hadn't really thought about it much, and so it was a great presentation. It was really illuminating.
An expensive option, going through the court system.
Absolutely, exactly. It
For
costs
a few
us a lot
pennies.
of money.
You go spend a fortune.
And I guess directly linked to what, like Sonia Goldie was talking about yesterday morning, about inequality and disadvantage, and how that's intimately related to our sector. Yeah. I mean, I think for me too, like inequality was a recurring theme, and stigma was a recurring theme, and just really driving home again the need for us as a sector to speak out and challenge stigmatising treatment when we see it, challenge stigmatising language, and try and win hearts and minds in the communities, and break down stereotypes.
And a good way to do that is AOD Media Watch.
Yeah.
Just been launched to monitor the inaccuracies that are presented in our media.
Yeah, so check out the Media Watch website. That's one project that we're supporting. I think one thing that was interesting too about, with our social media presentation yesterday, I was talking with a couple of people today about how they were talking about we heard from VAADA yesterday talking about, for Aboriginal workers, that you're living in your community, you're never not at work. There's no work-life balance because it's all meshed in together. So I guess for the sector, more and more people are becoming active on social media in a work capacity, and so that work-life balance is an emerging issue that we need to address in the sector as well to avoid.
This sector is not 9 to 5. It cannot be, and with social media, this is going to change that, like you said, like it or not.
Okay, so lots of other great stuff presented today. Lots of really good examples of amazing work happening within our sector, and unfortunately we didn't get to see all of it, but we'll talk about all of it now. But look at the VAADA 2017 hashtag on Twitter to follow some of the discussion, and we'll see you online. Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.